You done fell right down that rabbit hole, so reality is questionable. Try, but you just can't let it go. These two right here put on the show. It's paranormal overload with southern hospitality. Haunted murder, mayhem, tip while discussing immortality. Locations with a dark past, history that comes to life. Hillbillies with a knack for everything that goes bump at night. Overthinking if you by yourself, these two will have you turning on the lights. Mixing in a little comedy to make sure it all fits in just right. Hey.
Welcome to Hillbilly Horror Stories. Now here's your hosts, Jerry and Tracy Hall, and their dog Ninja.
And sometimes their cat Freddy, but never the ferrets.
Hey, this is Tommy Chong. Right now you're listening to the Hillbilly Horror Stories. Ooh, gotta listen to them.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 394 of Hillbilly Horror Stories. I'm Jerry.
And I'm Tracy. Dang it.
Tracy, obviously we're going to start off thanking all of our military and civil servants all over the world, no matter which country you represent. Thanks for everything you guys, girls, and service animals do for us on a daily basis. I know we lost some more military up in the Coast Guard in another helicopter accident.
My goodness.
So just thoughts go out to their families.
Absolutely. You guys always remain in our prayers, and we cannot thank you enough for what you guys and gals do for us. And I hate that these helicopter things, I know they got a train and everything, but gosh, it just seems like there's been a lot of those lately. So you guys are in our prayers, and make sure when you see a veteran that you shake their hand and say thank you, because it means the world to them.
Absolutely. Also, as we do every week, I just want to remind people that if you're in a situation where mentally you just you need a break, you are struggling with something, whatever the case may be, always remember self-care is so important, and it just gets brushed off by so many people. Take care of yourself, people. Just honestly, if you're going through something, seek help. There's nothing wrong with trying to fix an issue you have medically, whether it be mentally, whether it be physically. It's like I said, people seem to be embarrassed that they've got something going on mentally, but they would have no problem at all going to the doctor if they had the flu or COVID or maybe some type of diabetes or high blood pressure. You would go to the doctor, no questions asked for those kind of things. Treat your mental state the exact same way. Yeah,
exactly, because I kind of went through that this week. I don't know what was wrong with me, but I didn't want to do anything. All I wanted to do was sleep. I don't know what it was, but I'm fine now. And, it helped. I talked to Jerry and stuff like that. So everything's fine. I feel a lot better. So you guys just reach out to our group. You can call Jerry or my number, and you can also call the crisis hotline at 988. Text 741-741. We love you guys, so please reach out.
I don't remember you talking to me. I think that was a fever dream.
No, I did. I talked to you.
Okay, maybe you did.
So you just didn't care. No, I'm just kidding. He did care, and it did help a lot, so.
We also wanted to give a special mention. We have a member that we've become very close to over the year of the Hillbilly Horror Stories family, which is Tanya Bruce. And she had a nephew and a niece that I believe they were twins.
They were.
They were twins, and they both had the same disease, unfortunately. And they passed away, within a year of each other.
They did. It was very sad.
But her nephew, Austin, it was just the year anniversary of his death a couple of days ago. So I told her that I would mention him on the air this week.
Yes.
And just say our thoughts are with Tanya and her brother, because he lost both of his kids within a year of each other. I can't imagine.
No, it's terrible.
So
we love you, girl.
Absolutely. So Tracy, we've covered some stories that were based around our national parks on here. Right off the top of my head, obviously, we've covered Yellowstone Park, did a complete episode on them. We've also covered a lot of the missing 411 type stories from David Pilatus. And like I said, and sometimes it would just be one story that was part of 3 or 4 stories in a compilation that we would do. But we've done a lot of national park stories. Now, back around Halloween, we covered some cryptid stories. And one of the accounts that we covered, it might even been 2 of them, were from park rangers.
Yes. Those were really interesting to hear.
Well, we've got a few people that's actually suggested that we do some more stories from park rangers. So that's what we got going on tonight. I've got 2 stories. One is more true crime, and the other one is more our normal thing. It's more of a cryptid type story. But I thought I thought it would be cool to get 2 different aspects on there. And if we do it again, we'll find one that's paranormal and one that's something. So we'll
kind of
keep
mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, but I think you'll find the stories interesting tonight. So buckle up and remember,
put your phone down.
That these stories are from credible sources who spend a lot of time in nature.
Nice.
All right, so the first story goes back to 1999. Now, I'm going to tell you ahead of time. There's a couple of cases that we're going to speak about on here that I could have done a complete deep dive on both of the cases by themselves. Mm-hmm. I chose not to focus on that and focus more on the angle of the park ranger that's telling us the story.
Okay.
So I'll touch enough on it so you know what's going on, but just so you know, there'll be some information that we can't touch on, or this would be a 3-hour episode.
Okay.
Tracy, this park ranger in the story tonight is going to go anonymously, but I will tell you, he was an ex-football player with aspirations to play in the NFL until he blew out his knee.
Oh, man, that sucks.
I mean, so let's be honest. That's a very rare opportunity anyway to play in the NFL. So, not saying he couldn't make it. I don't know anything about the guy's football ability, but that's rare that happens. But everybody seems to have the aspirations to be able to do that. So this young man is starting to look for a job because it's obvious that football is not going to be his career. And he's told about a job by his uncle that would be a park ranger in Yosemite National Park. Now, this has nothing to do with the story, but we talked about missing 411 earlier, and I was listening to something with David Pilates the other day. He said that more people go missing in Yosemite National Park than any other park in the U.S., and it's not even close.
Wonder why.
Well, if we knew.
Well, that's true. That's very true.
So he takes the job in Yosemite that his uncle told him about. He said, hey, you know what? It's an easy job for the most part. You're outside a bunch, and it's pretty reliable income as long as the government doesn't cut funding or, trees stop sprouting out of the ground, which is unlikely.
Right.
That usually just keeps going on. And so he says, you know what? It sounds good. He accepted the position. At the time, he was 21 years old, and he really liked it. He got the job back in 1997. Said he loved spending the time out in nature. And he would just occasionally, his knee would hurt, he'd take some ibuprofen, and that'd be the end of it. It wasn't going to keep him from doing the job. Fast forward to 1999, 2 years into the job. He loves it. He loves being surrounded by all the nature. It's just a relaxing situation for him going into work every day.
That's good to do something that you love.
Absolutely. What is it they say? If you work a job or do a job that you love, you never work a day in your life.
Exactly right.
So he said that he would see stuff on a weekly basis that wildlife photographers would kill to be able to photograph. Uh-huh. It would be cool to be able to just...
Oh, heck yeah.
I would love to be in nature today, except in the cold.
No, I wouldn't want to do that either.
But he never thought he would encounter what he did on March 18th, 1999.
I mean, so could he take a camera and photograph that stuff?
I'm sure he could, but I think the point was that they look for that stuff all the time.
No, I know.
That perfect shot.
Yeah, yeah.
He sees stuff like that all the time.
Okay, so what the heck happened on that day?
Well, we're definitely going to get into what happened on that day. But first, I'm going to tell you that he said that he's thought about this every day since it happened.
Oh.
It started off a chain of events that would change his life forever. Now, it all started with a call about a potential forest fire. His boss had actually called him and told him that there was a hiker who had called and said that, hey, they saw some smoke rising up from the trees near a place called Long Cabin, not Log, Long, up in Sonora County. Obviously, forest fires can be devastating to a place like Yosemite or any other national park, and they're taken very seriously by the park rangers. Long Cabin wasn't technically in their jurisdiction, but there was nobody closer to Stanislaus National Forest that would answer the calls or could answer the calls. And that's actually where it was closer to. But since there was no one there in the area to check it out, he was asked if he'd go on out there and check it out himself. Mm-hmm. Well, this is like a 2-hour drive away. So it's not like it's like 15 minutes up the road.
Yeah, okay.
So most of the time, these calls turn out to be, nothing. It's a family barbecue or a campfire or just, some kids that started, a little campfire and it got a little out of control, something like that. After driving about an hour of this 2-hour trip, he can see some black smoke rising up through the trees in the distance. Well, black smoke usually means that there's more than wood burning. It's more like plastics or artificial fabrics or something like that, because wood doesn't give off a black smoke. So that's a problem in its own. So at first he was relieved because he was like, well, at least I know it's not a forest fire. But then he started realizing, it's still probably something that's not good for the environment, so it's still an issue.
And he drove all that way, so...
Yeah, he's about halfway there. So he follows the burning smell. And if you've ever smelled plastic burning, you know that smell. It's pretty unmistakable. It stinks. So the plastic smell starts getting stronger. That's when he saw exactly what the issue was. It was a burned out car among the trees. Now at this point, it was mostly smoldering as if it had probably been started the night before and had burned throughout the night. His first thought was, well, it's probably some joyriders who stole a car and they decided to set it on fire because it was either fun or they wanted to destroy some evidence or whatever the case was. But then he smelled something else, more like burning meat. Well, you shouldn't be smelling that from a burning car.
No, that's not good.
So he started to feel a little bit uneasy. He circled the car looking for any signs of maybe animal carcasses that possibly got close. Or
Crawled in there to get warm?
Or God forbid, human bodies.
Oh my gosh.
That were in or around the vehicle. But he didn't see anything. He even checked underneath the car. At this point, the ranger calls the Sonora County Sheriff's Department. He was told that they would send somebody out to check it out, but it was going to be an hour or so before they get there. But they asked him if he'd hang around so he could kind of guide them to where the vehicle was. I guess they couldn't follow the smoke like he did. But he's like, okay, I'll go ahead and hang out, and I've got some spare time on my hands, obviously. So he went to his car, he got the fire extinguisher out, and he proceeded to put out the little small fires that were still burning in and around the vehicle. When he was done, he realized that there was still something smoldering in the trunk.
Aww.
Smoke kept seeping out of the cracks, and the more that it did, the more he could smell the burning meat smell. That's when it hit him that someone or something was in that trunk. It seemed like an eternity before the sheriff's department actually got there. The ranger waited there as they were getting ready to open the trunk. He definitely did not want to see what was in there.
So the other people were there? The sheriff was there by then? Okay.
So that's what happened. One of the guys used a crowbar to open the trunk. But what the ranger saw was the stuff that nightmares are made of. It was a mess of black and burned flesh and contorted limbs.
Oh my Lord.
2 bodies inside the trunk. This caused him to start gagging, and he puked up his breakfast all over the forest floor. One of the deputies stood up against a tree with a rag that he had pulled out of his pocket over top of his mouth. And he said, the ranger said he assumes that's why the rag was there to begin with for situations like that.
Mm-hmm.
The other sheriff actually called the coroner to deal with the dead bodies. So they told the ranger that he could actually go back to Yosemite, and they didn't have to tell him twice. He was ready to get the hell out of there.
No, I'm sure.
The sheriff soon discovered that the bodies were that of Carol Sundin and Salvina Peloso. The two women, along with Carol's adult daughter, Julie, had been missing since the previous February. They were last seen alive at the Cedar Lodge near Yosemite National Park. It was actually one of the ranger's colleagues to last see them alive. The case actually landed on the cover of People magazine back then.
No kidding.
And our ranger that we're talking about is the one that actually discovered the bodies. This is a very interesting story. Carol Sundin's wallet had actually been found on a street in downtown Modesto, California, 3 days after they disappeared. Julie, her daughter, was found dumped in a heavy underbrush that was by an overlook at the Don Pedro Reservoir, several miles from where they had been found, the bodies.
Okay, I'm confused.
Okay.
So those two girls went missing last February.
Yeah, now this was only March.
Oh, I thought you meant like a year ago.
No.
Okay. Go ahead, sorry.
All right. When they found the daughter, Julie, her throat had been slit from ear to ear. The local police focused their investigation on a group of meth heads up in Northern California. They had previously been convicted of assaulting women and stalking women, so this kind of seemed like something that would have been right up their alley. But soon a break in the case made them shift their attention. Now, I'm sure you're probably wondering where I'm going with all this and what this has to do with our story. Well, it may seem as though that I got off track, but really I didn't. And you're going to see where I'm going with this. The story gets worse, especially for those who work at Yosemite.
Oh.
One of the staff members at the Yosemite Institute was a young woman named Joy Ruth Armstrong. She was, by all accounts, a very friendly and bubbly, all-around great person. She was a park ranger, and she absolutely loved what she did. Our park ranger that discovered the two bodies said that he had only met her a few times, but from what he could tell, all the accounts were pretty accurate.
Okay.
She seemed bubbly and fun and all that. He said she loved nature. She loved doing the job. In July of that same year, so we're talking just a couple months later, she made some plans to go spend the weekend visiting friends in Sausalito, also in California. She said goodbye to her roommates and then that she shared a cabin with up there. And then she wandered off among the trees to catch a ride down to Sausalito. But a few days later, she didn't show back up at work. She'd actually left some contact information for her friends so if they needed to talk to her, they could reach her.
Mm-hmm.
So the colleagues tried to follow up, and they found out that she never made it to her friend's house.
Well, that's not good.
A group of rangers decided that they were going to go by her house and that she stayed at, because she had two places she was staying at. There was a place right there in Yosemite, a cabin that she was staying in with some friends, but then she had another cabin that she actually was her permanent residence.
Cool.
Because it'll get confusing if you don't realize it. Because remember, I just said she left and was wandering down the way to go find a ride. Anyway, so some rangers actually went by her regular house, not the one she shared with friends. But they found her white pickup truck still parked in the driveway. But it was packed with all the luggage for a trip. So it looked like somebody was getting ready to go on a trip, but they never left. So rangers started searching the area in small groups. One group noticed that there was some brush and trees and stuff like that looked like they'd been trampled over, some trampled vegetation, which would have meant somebody was back there or had been back there. You know, you just don't find all this stuff stomped down and pulled up.
It could have been a bear.
I'm sure it probably could have been. But one of the rangers then noticed something metallic glistening in the sunlight. It was a key ring lying in a shallow ditch. That key ring led them to spot something else. A dead body. It was Joy. Unfortunately, she had to be ID'd by her clothing because whoever had killed her also decapitated her and took her head.
Oh, what the crap.
Now, this was especially disturbing to Joy's co-workers because murder was very unusual in these parts.
Yeah.
And now you've got 3 basically within a month of each other. Or actually 4.
Yeah.
Because you had the 3 plus her. The last known murder in Yosemite's actual boundaries before hers was 12 years ago in 1987. That's when a man actually pushed his wife off a cliff to collect her insurance money. So the chance of being murdered in a national park is 1 in 20 million. You have a greater chance of drowning in your bathtub. I don't have to tell Whitney Houston's family about that.
No, you don't.
So there was basically no suspects in the murder of the 2 bodies, or the 2 bodies in the car, and then you got the Yosemite Park Ranger and Julie, who was found in the underbrush. Obviously, with nothing really happening on them, when Joy was finally found, the park rangers didn't really expect anything different. They didn't think there would be any kind of evidence or anything that would lead police to her murder, since they really wouldn't get any kind of evidence on the other murders. But that's when local police got lucky. A witness statement given by one of Joy's co-workers said that they noticed a blue and white 1979 International Scout parked near Joy's cabin on the night of her death. There was an all-points bulletin put out for this particular vehicle. Because one of the things was, by Joy's place, they had tire tracks that they were having trouble matching up. So if they found that this vehicle ended up matching up, they could check the tires and see if, that'd be one thing they'd have to go on.
I wonder if they found her head.
No.
Oh.
Well, the police are looking for this, right? Well, the park rangers decided that they were going to search around and see if they could find something. As they were looking around, they saw a sunbather completely naked on the riverbank. Guess what else was at the riverbank?
What?
The International Scout. The car.
Oh.
When they talked to the guy, he said that he was a handyman at the Cedar Lodge, and he'd go out there once in a while and smoke pot and something like that, which probably explained why he was naked. His name was Kerry Stainer. Now, Cedar Lodge was a group of vacation homes that were built nearby. Do you remember where I said that the 3 women were last seen? They were seen at Cedar Lodge.
Oh, me.
He seemed embarrassed being caught laying there naked and quickly left the area. So the rangers called the police, and they show up and they compared the tire tracks left by his truck to those left at the site of Joy's murder, and they were identical. So a few days later, Kerry Stainer was arrested while visiting a nudist resort in Sacramento.
Well, I wonder why he was embarrassed that time.
I guess because they wasn't a nudist resort.
Oh.
So when they arrested him, he confessed to Joy's murder almost immediately.
Didn't.
Yes. But he also confessed to the murders of Carol Soon, Salvina Peloso, and her daughter, Julie, soon.
Well, that was easy.
Was it a Staples commercial? Kerry told FBI that he had fantasized about hurting women since he was a child. He couldn't silence the voices in his head that told him to kill. So, what's even more strange is the fact that the Stainer family had actually been in the news before. When he was 11, matter of fact, his 7-year-old brother went missing while walking home from school.
Oh, man.
Eventually, the 7-year-old, after 7 years, so now 14, escaped from Kenneth Parnell, who had actually been, convicted of child abuse before, and a former employee of Yosemite Lodge. Kerry would later say that he saw Bigfoot as well. So this guy had been in the story years before because his brother went missing. His brother eventually was found.
Well, that's great.
After he escaped after 7 years. So Kerry was convicted of 4 counts of murder in 2002. And he's sitting on death row in California as we speak. So that means he'll never be executed because death row in California is pretty much worthless.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, there was more to those stories that I didn't get into. I'll briefly say it because, like I said, the 3 women at the lodge where Kerry was a handyman, and he was a handyman there, they were there. He pretended to be, if I remember the story correctly, he pretended to be a plumber or something of that nature. It said there was a leak. He had to come in and look at it, and that's how he gained access. And then he pretty much tied up the young girl, took her, and then was telling the family that he had her to use his leverage, and that he ended up kidnapping all of them and killing all of them. And then the other young woman that was the forest ranger, the park ranger, he said he just happened to be driving by and he saw her out there, and he was just like, I'm just going to do it. He got out and started having a conversation with her, and she seemed to be, having a conversation with him, no big deal. And then he forced her in the house and tied her up and all that stuff. So, yeah, he was just beyond mentally disturbed.
Do you think anything could have came of that from his brother being kidnapped?
I'm sure he tried to plead insanity, but he was found. And they were using all of his past and everything to try to say that's where a lot of this came from. But the reality of it is he was listed as sane, and then that's why he got the death penalty.
Damn, good for him. I'm glad he did. And I can't just believe he confessed like that.
You said good for him.
Well, he also got the death penalty. But I'm just saying it's so crazy that he just automatically confessed.
I guess when you know that you're caught.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't. I mean, some people are going to fight it till the very end, and then some people are going to be like, maybe he figured I'll confess, I'll plead insanity, I'll get out of it. So this,
Well, I did not like that story.
As I knew you wouldn't. All right, Tracy. The second story takes place in a national park that we know all too well, the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Now, this story's pretty recent. This actually happened July 23rd of 2022. So it's less than 2 years old.
Dang.
But before I tell you this story, let's take a quick sponsor break. All right, Tracy. So this involves semi-anonymous Park Ranger Davis. So I got his last name. That's all I got.
Okay.
She remembers that on this day, on July 23rd, 2022, that there was a mist in the air, but that's the type that's pretty common in the Smoky Mountains, thus the name. It was a pretty standard morning, kind of crisp even though it was summer, but it was going to end up being a very warm day, which is exactly what happened. As she would do every morning, she would first check in to the ranger station. She would then review the day's assignments and scan through the log books from see if there was any kind of important notes or any reports for the night before. Now, this is also the part of the day when she would receive updates on any specific areas of the park that needed attention. On this day, she had been assigned to patrol the Cades Cove Loop.
Cades Cove?
Yeah.
Wasn't that where we were?
Yeah, where all the bears are.
Yeah.
Yeah. For those of you actually that aren't familiar with the area, Tracy and I, we actually love Cades Cove. This is actually the best area if you try to see wildlife in general. There's bears and deer and all kinds of birds, including wild turkeys. You're almost guaranteed to see some type of a bear if you go up there.
Yeah, for real.
We went years without knowing about it.
Yeah.
And never saw a bear. And then somebody would tell, I saw like 8 bears today. And then, that's what we ended up doing. So going to Cades Cove. But it's awesome. Also, plan on having a lot of time. Because it takes about 2 to 4 hours to get through it. It's about I think it's 11 or 12 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only one way.
Yep.
And it's nothing but bumper to bumper traffic going about 5 miles an hour.
Yeah, and then people stop and take pictures and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. So you'll know when there's a bear because there'll be about 3 cars stopped and people standing outside looking at them. But Cades Cove is the one of the most frequently visited parts of the Smoky National Park.
Oh,
so
I'm sure of it.
It's a cool place. All right. Due to its popularity, they have park rangers assigned all over the place because sometimes people need to ask questions or whatever the situation is. Due to its popularities, the constant oversight of the trails is important because there's a lot of hiking trails back there. There's a lot of old log cabins and stuff like that for people to go out. But they need to make sure this area is clear. They don't want people trying to hike and then find out there's debris or limbs that have fallen because it would be unsafe.
Uh-huh.
They also have to ride around and make sure that there's no debris in the roads that would be blocking anything. And they also have to pick up the garbage and stuff from the picnic areas because if you leave garbage out, guess what?
Here comes the bears.
Yep, absolutely. Yogi Bear wasn't kidding.
What?
They were looking for picnic baskets. All right, so she's checking the condition of the loop's pathway, first of all. Because sometimes there's storms and stuff like that, or if there's major rains, there can be minor landslides back there.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. Sometimes visitors report lost items or crazy wildlife sightings, so they like to be handy in case those things happen. So she said that you learn to keep an eye out for the ordinary. She's checking the picnic area to verify that the trash and stuff is disposed of as we speak of, and the fires have been extinguished. And Cades Cove, as we talked about, has several viewing points where people just stop off and kind of stare to see, what's going on, overlooking the mountains or whatever the situation is. So she would kind of make it a point to stop into some of those places and ask if people had any questions or something like that. It's just part of her day.
All right.
This day, though, would be anything but ordinary. So she's driving along the loop. She noticed there were some trees that had been strangely uprooted. Near one of these uprooted trees, she noticed large footprints. They didn't match any animal that she had ever seen or knew of, and she'd been doing this for a while. That wasn't all. There was also a peculiar, overwhelming smell in the air. It was a combination of skunky, musty, and an undeniable tinge of body odor.
Oh, boy, I bet that was just delightful.
So she's walking around, kind of further investigating. The smell seemed to get, intensified.
Yeah.
She then heard a series of whoopings.
Whoopings?
Whoopings.
What's that?
Noises. Whooping noises.
Oh.
Whoop, whoop.
Oh.
Whooping noises. Maybe it was whooping Goldberg.
Or whooping your butt.
These noises were coming from the nearby thickets. So these whooping sounds were then followed by a loud yelp. Maybe it was trying to leave a review of the park. Don't know. Her heart started pounding, so much so she could hear her heart beating in her ears. This was due to the anxiety as she approached the area that the noises were coming from. She eventually came to a small clearing, and then she saw it. Standing tall and overwhelming was a creature that was unlike anything she had ever seen before. It was massive, She estimated it was close to 9 feet tall. Now, its body was covered with multiple colors of fur. Some patches were reddish brown, some were very dark brown, and then there was everything in between. She said there was no hair on the face at all, but it definitely had ape-like qualities and a cone-shaped head. The eyes were black, and with those eyes, she said the creature stared her down as if it was evaluating her.
Oh, man. I mean, she probably didn't want to run because, well, I don't know, that beast probably couldn't run that fast. What'd you think?
I don't know. I wouldn't want to take a guess on whether it could or couldn't.
No, I mean, I wouldn't either.
So she kept staring at this creature, but she said it didn't show any signs of aggression. It did emit a low growl that made its large chest vibrate. Now, she notices at this time that the creature virtually had no neck, which made it even creepier.
Man, that no neck stuff freaks me out.
Now, Ranger Davis was not unaware of how grave her situation could be. She's basically staring down an unknown creature of enormous size in its personal habitat. She knew she had to act cautiously. Her first instinct was to secure her own safety without escalating the situation. So she maintained eye contact with the creature and then reached for her whistle.
A whistle? I was just going to ask you, did she have a gun?
She gave a little sharp blow on the sharp blow on the whistle. She said the sound acted two different ways. It was a deterrent for the creature, but it was also a call for assistance to any nearby rangers or possibly spectators that might be able to come out and check out the situation. She also reached for her radio, and in a very slow and deliberate way,
dude, there's a big creature. No, I can just see her doing that.
She pulls out the radio without using any kind of jerky movements or anything that could be seen as threatening to this creature. And she radioed that this is Ranger Daniel. And
we have a situation.
I'm at the Cades Cove Loop. And of course, she's whispering all this. She's not
Right.
saying it regular. She didn't want to agitate things like the lady with the tiger. She then says that she's encountered a large unknown creature near the west clearing and she needs assistance. While she's waiting for this response to come, she's beginning to make subtle, small movements to place a tree in between her and this creature. At least, she would have some type of a barrier between them if the situation escalated. She also starts marking in her head some possible escape routes and trees because she said she could potentially climb a tree. All right, so I'm going to stop you right there, Ranger Daniels. If you think climbing a tree when you got a 9-foot ape-like creature following you, I think you're probably going about that the wrong way, because I don't know if you know this or not, but apes like to climb trees for fun.
They do.
I don't think you're going to be lost. So
I wonder if she laid down on the grass. Oh, I probably would see. Not tall grass. Never mind.
Yeah, I don't know. So now while she was doing this, she's always keeping the creature in her peripheral vision. So she's not completely losing eye contact. And you're probably wondering, how did they respond, the creature thing, how did they respond to the whistle? Well, it just tilted its head slightly and appeared more curious than it did threatened.
Oh, that's cute.
So it took a step toward her. And Ranger Daniel then took 2 steps back. She was trying to kind of signal to this creature that she wasn't trying to be threatening or invading its space in any way, shape, or form. At this point, her radio goes off, letting her know that backup is on the way. So while she was comforted, I guess basically knowing that there was backup coming, she also knew that it wasn't coming right this second, and right now, it's just her and this creature. So, she was told to stay calm, by the way, by the people on the radio. Like she wasn't already handling the situation. But anyway, she's confident, no, there's help on the way. But right now, she knew that it was just her and this thing. So the next few moments felt like a surreal standoff to her. Ranger Daniels and the creature seemed to be sizing each other up, each uncertain of what the other basically intended to do.
So I wonder, like, if the other people saw all this going on, or if
No,
it was
just them two.
Oh.
She said that she then heard a soft rustling coming from the woods that were opposite of the clearing. She and the creature both turned their heads to look in that direction. Eventually, from the tree line was a smaller version of this creature. Ranger Daniels assumes, anyway, that this was probably an offspring of the creature.
Huh?
Yeah. There's two of them now, and one's small.
Oh my gosh, I was going to say, I thought you meant that 9-foot thing was an offspring of...
No.
I was like, dude, that'd be ginormous.
So it timidly steps into the clearing, and it let out a couple of little chirps. And the two creatures kind of chirp back and forth. And then Ranger Daniel says that the larger creature then made this very loud whooping sound. It was seemingly communicating with the smaller one. So Ranger Daniel said that it was a very touching and intimate moment to see this, and she stopped being scared for a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Realizing this, Ranger Daniels decided to actually step back even further, not wanting to,
Interrupt their magical moment?
Well, that she didn't want to interrupt, but she also didn't want to intrude.
Yeah.
Basically, that's the same thing.
Right.
Is what you just said. She didn't want to intrude, but she also didn't want to threaten the meeting or provoke any kind of parental instincts that that thing might have. So, as she stepped back, she said the bigger creature seemed to kind of acknowledge her gesture. And with one last, kind of lingering look back, it gently nudged the smaller creature, and the two slowly walked off into the woods.
So when the other rangers got there, said, "Wish you weren't a liar."
Yeah, they were gone by the time help got there. Now, her colleagues and herself actually did comb the vicinity looking for any kind of further signs of this creature, but they didn't find anything.
Okay, so now she looks like a raven maniac.
The raven maniac might be a bit much. We don't know she was raving.
I know. How embarrassing, though. To wait all that time and they're like gone.
Well, she probably should have been, if y'all had been here sooner.
Yeah.
But she said it was almost as if the forest had swallowed them up. They later set up a perimeter around the clearing, not to cage in the creature, but to protect it and show respect for the space for these creatures, to make sure people couldn't get back there and mess with them.
Well, I mean, it's probably a good thing they didn't show up, because they may have shot at it or something.
Yeah, I don't know if they had guns or what the situation. I'm sure some park rangers carried guns. I don't know. You would think they would have to.
Well, yeah.
But
that was kind of a touching story.
Yep. So there's you two stories from national parks.
I wonder if they would invite her to dinner.
The park rangers?
Yeah.
Probably. You mean the park rangers invite her to dinner?
No, the creatures invite her to dinner.
Yeah. They might invite her to be dinner.
Oh.
So, anyways.
Well, I like how she protected her youngin', and they just walked off into the woods.
She did.
Good for her.
All right, so we're going to take, what if it wasn't her? What if it was just some other kid that was coming up asking for help, and then we turned it over to a predator?
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Maybe you could have what's-his-name out there come out with his cameras while they're eating cookies. What was his name?
I don't know.
Chris. Was it Chris? I can't remember.
Oh.
To Catch a Predator guy?
Oh, Chris Hansen?
Yeah, Chris Hansen. That'd be funny.
They're out there eating cookies. That's so funny.
People were always eating cookies.
I know it, right?
The girls would always be like, I made some cookies. They're on, just have to help yourself.
Uh-huh.
So.
I remember that episode quite well.
They did it on almost every episode. They were always making cookies. They were like that grandma. Anyways, we love you guys. And we're going to take a really quick sponsor break, and we'll be back with Patreon and stuff. And we have updates on shows. We have dates set.
All right.
All right, Tracy, what do you got for us over there? Oh, wait a minute. I'm supposed to do my stuff first.
No, let me do mine.
Go ahead.
All right. For iTunes, we have Rose, Sam, Rooney711, and Mojo Lobster. Thank you guys for your reviews. You guys are really coming through for us, and we really, really appreciate it. And our Patreons is Morgan and Donnie. Thank you guys for your support. We appreciate it.
Donnie's DAWNEY.
Anyway, right, correct.
All right. So it's taken a while, but we finally got everything worked out. We're doing 2 shows this year, and obviously we're doing the cruise also. Don't forget about the cruise. Go to hillbillyhorrorstories.com, and you'll be able to find the cruise and be able to buy tickets to the 2 live events we got. So the first one is coming up really quick. It's like a month and a week away. Hotel Casadega in Casadega, Florida. If you're unfamiliar, it's in between Daytona and Orlando. So it's about 30 minutes from Orlando.
Okay.
This is a spiritualist camp. We've done an entire episode on it. The whole town is basically nothing but psychics and mediums that live within inside there. They say that, but I saw a few extra larges, I know, when we were there.
Stop.
But there is the Hotel Casadega, which has been around for, I think, the late 1800s. And it is supposedly crazy haunted. And we got a show set up there. But there were only 30 tickets that we can sell there, because it's a very small area where they're going to have us at. And we sold 6 of them the first night that I listed it on Facebook.
Isn't that
So there's only
wonderful?
24 tickets left. It's April 27th. That's a Saturday, and it's an early show, 12 to 3.
Oh, nice.
So like I said, there's 24 tickets left. We are going to be joined by History Goes Bump.
Awesome.
So this, unfortunately, with the setup that we've got there, we won't be able to bring the projector and all that. And we won't have as much stage stuff as we typically do. It'll be mostly audio, like it used to be in the old days before last year.
Yeah,
Last year was the
that's
only year
true.
we did the projector
Yeah.
stuff. But if you want the full-on experience, August 17th, the Hillbilly Horror Stories 8th annual birthday show with History Goes Bump in St. Augustine, Florida. The oldest city in America and one of the most haunted.
And the most beautifulest.
It is. It's the most beautiful.
Is that a word?
No.
Oh.
No, but I don't expect you to have full words all the time. St. Augustine, guys, this place, if you came to our St. Augustine show last time, it's at the same location, Beecher's Lodge. It's right on the beach. They have a conference hall. We're going to be doing it. There's 60 tickets available. Some of those have already sold, but there were 60 to start with. I'm telling you, this place has got fairly inexpensive rooms to be on the beach.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, because I mean, you literally walk out, and then there's a pool, and then you can walk to the beach area. Like I said, it's super nice, and they're giving us discounts on the rooms. I haven't posted that part yet because they just got that back with me, but I'm going to put all that on the website. But you can call them and tell them you're with Hillbilly Horror Stories podcast, and you want to book a room, and you can book Friday and Saturday night, so that way you can. This show's going to actually be Saturday night. So
Okay.
it will be a nighttime show, but you can actually spend a night Friday and spend Saturday at the beach, or spend Friday at the beach and Saturday, and then
How fun.
leave out on Sunday morning, and you're going to get a great price. They're going to have everything from studios to, I think, 1 bedrooms to possibly 2 bedrooms.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, their prices are cheaper than anything you would ever expect on the beach. I don't know what the prices are right this second, but when we did this 2 years ago, there were rooms starting at $110 a night.
Yeah.
So
Good deal.
that's cheap as hell for any room, let alone one in
On
a
the
beach
beach,
resort.
yeah.
So anyways, if you want to buy tickets for either of those, or you want to check about the cruise, hillbillyhorrorstories.com, click on the live events page, and there's access to both tickets right there. But
Sounds
these
great.
are both going to sell out, so I would not waste your time.
Yay.
Or not
I was going to say waste your time.
not waste time. Because like I said, we've sold 6 of them without even either one of us talking about it on the air. We'd already sold 6 tickets
That's
just by posting
great.
on Facebook. So
Wonderful.
All right. Guys, that's going to wrap it up for us this week. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yes, we hope you did. Thank you guys for hanging with us. We appreciate y'all so much. And I hope y'all have a blessed week.